Nafisah Nasri. I'm a third-year student majoring in medical physics in University Science Malaysia. Now, I'm going to explain to you how the magnetic resonance imaging, or the common name that we always heard is MRI scanners, function in detecting and distinguishing between tumors and cysts. I'm going to compare 4 types of brain tumor and brain cysts. But first, let's take a look on the procedure before and during going through the MRI scan. Before the patient going through the MRI scan, they will need to fill in the questionnaire about their body condition, and they will also need to remove all the accessories or any metal objects on their body. This is because the metal can interfere with the magnetic field used to create an MRI image and cause safety hazard. The magnetic field created also may damage the electronic items, and so it can be dangerous for people with a pacemaker or any electronic medical implant. Now we are ready to go. The patient will be asked to lie down on a table that will slide into the MRI scanner. Headphones or earplugs with music will be given to the patient as the MRI scans will make a loud noises. Head coil will be positioned on the head of the patient, and then the medical assistant will make sure that the laser beam localizer is centered with the glabella. Then the patient will be moved into the MRI scan after he or she is calm and comfortable. After that, the medical assistant will go back to the control room to observe the MRI sequences of image. The patient will also be injected with a contrast or a dye. This is to help the medical assistant to compare the MRI sequence of image with and without contrast. The MRI result for both tumor and cyst can be seen similar to each other, as both of these are just a lesion at the brain. So, how do the doctors and the medical assistant differentiate between tumor and cyst? Well, that's the function of the sequences of the MRI image, because these sequences of MRI image will help the doctors and the medical assistant to distinguish between the tumor and cyst.
Now, we are going to compare the sequences of MRI image of the first brain tumor and cyst, which are the pineoblastoma tumor and pineal cyst. This is the T1 weighted image for pineal cyst. As you can see, there is a lesion that occurs there, but it is somewhat around 55 to 60% hyperintense, which means it is brighter when compared to the cerebrospinal fluid. Meanwhile, the pineoblastoma is hypointense to the adjacent brain, which means it is darker. For the T2 weighted image, the pineal cyst is high signal, which means we can see the cyst is in the white color. Meanwhile, the pineoblastoma is iso-intense to the adjacent brain, which means it has the same brightness as the adjacent brain. Next, we are going to look at the medulloblastoma tumor and the retrocerebellar arachnoid cyst. Let us see the T1 weighted image for the medulloblastoma tumor. The tumor is hypointense to the gray matter, whereas the T1 weighted image for the retrocerebellar arachnoid cyst has low signal intensity. And for the T2 weighted image for the medulloblastoma, the overall is iso-intense to hyperintense to the gray matter, where hyperintense means that it is brighter. Where the T2 weighted image for the arachnoid cyst has high signal intensity. Moving on to the next tumor and cyst, which are the meningioma and intracranial epidermoid cyst. As we can see from the T1 weighted image, the tumor is iso-intense to gray matter, while the T1 weighted image for the intracranial epidermoid cyst, it is iso-intense toward the cerebrospinal fluid. Next, The T2-weighted image for the meningioma tumor is somewhat hyper-intense toward the grey matter. Meanwhile, for the cyst, it is about 65% iso-intense to the cerebrospinal fluid and around 35% slightly hyper-intense to the grey matter. And for the last brain tumor and cyst that we're going to distinguish are diffuse brain glioma tumor and endodermal cyst. The T1-weighted image for the diffuse brainstem glioma tumor are in low intensity, which means we can see the color of the tumor is dark. Whereas the T1-weighted image for the endodermal cyst have high signal intensity. For the T2-weighted image for the diffuse brainstem glioma is hyper-intense to the adjacent brain, while the T2-weighted image for the endodermal cyst have low signal intensity.
Thus, that is how the brain tumor and cyst is distinguished by the MRI through the sequences of MRI image. And that is all from me. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.